I am now recording, so behave accordingly. Although that doesn't seem to make a difference to me. Okay, so no tutorial this week. You have gotten all the basics of Unreal, hopefully enough for you to do your final project. Isn't that exciting? So if you've kept up on the tutorials, so the good news is no tutorial. The bad news is final project. So there's that. So I just wanted to go over the schedule. Graybox was due 2 minutes ago. Or is it midnight tonight? I don't remember. Is it midnight tonight?
Midnight tonight.
Okay, midnight tonight is fine then. Okay, I'm cool. I'm certainly not going to look at them before midnight. If we go by, yeah, Sarah. sorry everybody. I don't know. And obviously, I am still behind on all the grading, but luckily John is doing some of the grading, so some of you are getting grades. I haven't put up this week's quiz because I was figuring out the timeline. So on Friday, I'm gonna fire up the various Graybox videos, and we're all gonna watch them. Because number one, honestly, some of the best work and collaboration in this class in the past has been in the labs where everybody kind of looks over everybody's shoulder at the stuff they're working on, and that gives you each ideas. And I'm a little sad you got to see everyone's pitches. Did you get to see everyone's pitches? Yeah. But just this is the first time we're gonna see any kind of levels. I am recording, Jeff. Thank you. But I remembered myself, so no one gets a thing. So Friday we're going to there's a squirrel like asleep on a branch right outside my window. Now he's staring at me. He woke up. Best class ever, right? Teacher in the middle goes squirrel. Okay, so yes, we are going to present them on Friday, Javier. That's exactly my point. We're going to go through all the gray boxes, look at them, and then I just put up where is it? Assignments. So let me share this screen. Share. Okay. So on next Tuesday, you're gonna run through the beta, which that's another week's worth of work. So I would expect a more complete level. Obviously, I wouldn't. It should have all gameplay elements, everything that we need to do to get through it to win, I guess, should be there. But it's perfectly fine if you are still putting in what I call deco, which is trim and pipes and lamps and all the sorts of things that take it from being a bunch of boxes to a place, and texturing, which is the original what we used to call texturing, putting textures on surfaces. Now it's materials, because materials are made up of textures, but I still call it texturing because materialing sounds funky. It doesn't sound like the right thing, but basically, putting materials on all your surfaces. If in the final version, just letting you know, if in the final version I see default texture, that's a letter grade. So make sure you get all the default texture out of there. Okay. Also, if I haven't put these in the assignment. Ooh, I got chat. I got pushback. We were supposed to have a win condition. That's why I kind of went win condition, an end condition. That's fine, Jeff. There should be an ending to your level, right? Whether that's just crossing a threshold and a trigger goes off. Okay, question. When you say default texture, does that mean like the one main default, or does that mean starter content textures? No, that means the one main default. If there is that gray box texture of, light gray, dark gray checkerboard, that's what I'm looking for. And you can still use starter content, dirt and grass, all you want. That's fine. I don't mind. It's the gray checkerboard that I'm looking for. Also, if this, you'll see this if you haven't already. Sometimes it will say lighting needs to be rebuilt in red on the side of the screen. If you turn in your final and it says lighting needs to be rebuilt on the side of your screen, that's a letter grade. Okay. What if we have an actual chessboard on a table? Can we use it for that? No. Go find better materials for your chessboard. Chessboards don't look like that. Don't do it. If in the same place where it sometimes says in red lighting needs to be rebuilt, it will sometimes say nav mesh needs to be rebuilt. And I haven't covered nav mesh at all. Ceramic tile checker is an included material in the starter content. Do you want to argue with me? I'm just saying, there is one texture, one material that is banned from your final project. There are hundreds of thousands of other materials that you can use. Use one of those. Because if I say, oh, well, if you intended to use that, then it's different. Then whenever I see it in a corner or around the edge of a door frame, all that person has to do is say, well, I intended it to be there because it's beautiful. No, it's not. You forgot to put a material there. Oh, we don't actually have a chessboard. You were trying to make a joke. Okay. Okay, sorry. Sorry, Duncan. It's hard to deal with jokes in chat. There wasn't even a smiley face. Okay. No No lighting needs to be rebuilt. No nav mesh needs to be rebuilt. Just offhand, nav mesh is a mesh, an invisible series of nodes um, that basically tell bots or AI entities where they can move in a level, right? So um, what will happen is um, if you have an island here and an island here, say in space, um, and there is no way from to get from this island to this island, the nav mesh will fail, and it will say there's no way to get to the all the places in this level. So any bots that you have in the level will not work. Um, and it just goes and says no nav mesh for this level. Sorry, can't figure it out. Um, and then you get the error message. Nav mesh needs to be rebuilt. So if you are getting that error message, you can turn nav mesh off. You can make sure it's a good thing to check for navigation, so that we know that we can get from one island to another, because if a bot can't get from one island to another, then there's no jump pad, there's no bridge, there's no way to get there. You can also place nav meshes manually, and shape them yourself. Um, that way is somewhat fraught, because uh, if you don't have them lined up with actual navigable um, uh, places, that an actor can move, um, and you do end up putting bots in, bots will move according to the nav mesh and possibly run off the sides of your landscape or your platforms or what have you, or get stuck on um, obstacles, right? So manual nav mesh is fine if you know what you're doing. And given that there is no tutorial about nav mesh stuff, um, and I just say avoid it. But um, if you are getting the uh, nav mesh must be rebuilt, um, that's what that is. Okay. So please don't have any error messages in the final packaged version of your um, level. Don't have default texture. Uh, and those are the three things that I look for that are easy. If I ever just see default texture, I'm like, ooh, somebody wasn't thorough. Somebody didn't get everything. Um, and the others are, um, the um, error messages, which you can see right off. So be aware of that. The other thing, the final version. So next week is the last week of the term. Oh my God. How quick was that? So the final, um, uh, yeah, October 16th. That's a week from Friday. Yes. Today is October 6th. We have 10 days left in the term, Jeff. Um, so, um, and you'll recall that B term starts um, the following Wednesday. So, normally we have a week off, and then there's the B term starts sometime the following week. There is no week off. It's to discourage you guys from leaving. But I guess you all have 4-day weekends. So what you do with your 4-day weekend is, I don't know, stay inside, see no one, play video games, right? That I gotta admit, we're in week 6 and the there's been no outbreak. I'm proud of all of you. All of you on campus. I'm very proud that we've made it this far. I honestly didn't think we'd get past week 3. So anyway, okay. So we're doing better than the White House, right? We rock. Okay, so yes, we are. Please turn in your level as a downloadable executable. This one I want to play. I want to play every single one of them. I don't know what the size limit is on Canvas. I'm pretty sure Canvas will not allow you to upload an executable that's big enough for an Unreal game. So just be aware of that. But you can put a link to wherever you want to host it, whether that's on SharePoint, at WPI, Dropbox, Google, what does Google call it? Google, wow, I use it.
Google Drive.
Google Drive, thank you. Having a brain fart. Squirrel. So wherever you want to host it. Also, open an incognito window or an anonymous window or whatever the browser of your choice calls it, and go make sure you can download it from where you're hosting it, so that I don't have to chase you down for permissions, right? So I went to download it, and oh look, it says I don't have authorization to download this file, right? So just make sure when you post the link you post is available for anyone to or send the link to your partners. Yeah, that's fine too. But here's the problem: if you are sharing some drive or something, you might have given them special permissions that you haven't given me, right? So just please test it and make sure that Joe Blow can, aka me, can download it. For the final, package it, do full production lighting, leave time to do full production lighting. Also, remember to include your names in the file name. If there are 3 of you or your names are very long, you can just use like the first 3 or 4 letters of your name in the file name. Okay, so find Stad/Bert or Stad-Bert, and I'm using those because those I can see those in the Zoom. Dash final.exe is fine. Stadolnik dash Bertetti dash final might give you problems. So just be aware of that. Yes, you can have a README with the names and credits. That adds a little, and please make it a zip file, not some weird compression thing that I have to go look up some third party silly uncompressor to uncompress it. But yeah, please don't. Um, just a zip file. Windows. I'm just on Windows. I'm a simple man. I can't deal with all this craziness of Linux on the desktop. Um, I just uh, and remember to leave yourself time to do full production lighting. Um, it takes a long time to do full production lighting. Um, if your lighting, so if your lighting is good, production lighting will make your entire level pop, and you will be like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." If your lighting is it does the job, you'll probably see no difference with full production lighting. Um, so that's one way of looking at of judging it. Of course, you'll only get full production lighting probably on your last pass because it takes so long. But one thing you can do to test it is once you do a lighting pass on your final level, set it to packaging before you go to bed, right? It'll do two things. Overnight, it'll heat your room because um, it takes a long time, and your computer will put out some heat. Um, or you can mine Zipcoin or Bitcoin the same way. And yeah. um, and if you wake up in the morning and it is still packaging, you know how many hours it takes to package, or at least you've got an idea how many hours it takes to package. If it failed and you don't know why it failed, then you've got a log to look at earlier, and maybe do some debugging before you're doing your final packaging, and you have to stay up all night to see if it fails, and you have a sad time. Don't stay up all night. Get some sleep. Finally, and this is finally, I have this due at 5 p.m. on October 16th. Oh, not finally, but I want to talk about this. October 16th at 5 p.m. Why 5 p.m.? Why not midnight? Number one, if I make it 5 p.m. on the Friday before the final, before break weekend, then you guys can go have a life, right? Secondly, I don't have much time to get stuff graded. I want everything in before I start grading. I don't want to spend all weekend emailing with people, and this has happened, where they're like, "It doesn't work. I can't make it work," and I should be grading, and I'm spending the weekend debugging with someone. So I really need them done when the term is done, so that I can get it all graded and get it done. That said, 5-10, I don't care. I'm not a stickler. I think you guys should all. So I don't know if it's still the case, but once upon a time, WPI was known as a place, a college where everybody worked all the time and didn't have fun. And maybe, I don't know if that's still the case, but I think that's the case this term. I think one of the reasons why y'all have done so well with the Rona um, is that you've all been working really, really hard. So please don't screw up that break weekend. Do it safely. Thank you all. I see the chat. But do take a break, right? Recharge the batteries, play your video games, maybe read a book, watch a movie, do it safely over Zoom or whatever your hangout software of choices. And recharge, because it's a long road still to Christmas time, to the holidays. So and who knows what's going to happen by then. So that's due dates. Finally, I've talked about all this stuff, but I'm not sure I've made it clear based on what we're seeing in the design docs. So the things you need in your final level, at least one of each of a tableau, a vista, and a weenie. Most of you have exactly one of each. And many of you are just kind of hand waving. Oh, there'll be a tableau over there. It'll be fine. It'll be really cool. Trust me. Um, and we're like, what's going to be in the tableau? Maybe you could tell us that. I don't know. I tried to get to in earlier talking that tableaus build off each other, right? So it's very much the what happened here, right? The goldfish on the screens seems like a really weird thing, but when you see a larger picture, you come to understand. Or the dark ride, Pirates of the Caribbean, that each one tells its own story, but in aggregate, that it's a bunch of skeleton section, and then we go back in time, and those skeletons have taken on a life, and we see the story of the ship firing on the fort outside the island, and then the pirates running around in the town on the island. That it tells a story through tableau after tableau after tableau. So if you have exactly one tableau, you don't have much of that's like trying to write a story with only one page to write on, right? So please tell me what happened here. Use environment and obstacles. Maybe there's a door that won't open until I put a block on another block. I don't know. Maybe it's as simple as I have to stand on one thing that then goes zoop, and we have um, some kind of, Indiana Jones thing. Anyway, I watched the second Jumanji last night, and um, there's a whole scene where it's very Indiana Jones. Um, uh, Nick Jonas, dreamboat that he is, um, has to save a horse uh, who Danny Glover is inside of. Don't long story. Um, and there are for some reason the stable where the horse is the stone floor. It's the second Jumanji. It's really good. It's very cute. Um, and basically it's a stone floor with a bunch of stones. And he steps on a stone and it goes down a bit and a dart shoots out and kills him. And then he comes back because it's a video game. It's fine. But he only has 3 lives, right? So the sheer idea that there's a stable with a floor that is elaborately trapped to guard a horse. Like, when you think about it, you're like, what? Why? Who built that? Because I mean, it turns out that this is a valuable horse. That is inhabited by the soul of Danny Glover, who is an old man. But basically, they captured him and they put him in the already built stable of trap death. Why is that there? What? How? Who anticipated the need for such a thing? Right? And then when Nick Jonas, dreamboat that he is, yeah, the actors are able to embody different characters in the same movie. Yeah. So it's kind of cute, but The Rock cannot do a good Danny DeVito. The Aquafina, she does a much better Danny DeVito than The Rock. My opinion. I know it's controversial, but The Rock does The Rock really well. Doesn't do a good Danny DeVito. Anyway, once Nick Jonas gets to the horse, which he does, spoiler, the question becomes, well, how do you get the horse out of the death trap stable? Because the horse can't like tippy toe and jump over the various trap pressure plates. And they thought of it. They were like, okay, well, how's he going to get out? And I was like, oh, he's going to open a door in the back of the horse's stall and take him out there. And then that begs the question, why didn't you just go through that door? Instead of going across all the treasure, you just go around the outside, open that door, and you got a horse. Instead, when he throws a switch in the stable, next to the horse, floor comes out, like steel plates come out and cover all the stone floor pressure plates so that you could just walk out. Okay, great. Thought of it, right? So I'm Joe Stable Guy, right? And it's time to go feed the horse. That is a very valuable horse that we keep in the trapped stable, right? I can't like acrobat my way to the horse every time I have to go feed the horse. Unless, imagine that help wanted ad you need to be an acrobat and an experienced stable hand. It's a small pool of applicants there. So there's got to be a switch on the other side of the traps where you start to 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 get the plates over so that stable guy can just go over and feed the horse. So really your time would be better spent looking for the switch at the entrance that makes it safe than trying to navigate the traps. Anyway, long story short, environmental obstacles. Too late, long story short. The other thing is, I talked a lot last week about story versus plot, right? And one of the ways to look at that is present action versus overall narrative, right? So the present action is who am I? And you should answer this question somehow. You all know how to make cutscenes. Show me who I am. Am I a robot investigating a long dead civilization? Am I uh, Bob's brother here because I got a strange note from him, and I have to find out what happened to Bob? Am I the OSHA food or the FDA meat inspector sent to the butcher shop to find violations? All these things you could do. And yet most of you head straight to fantasy and science fiction. Think about that. You could be making hard-hitting societal commentary about meat inspection, right? Anyway. Okay. So present action and full story. So usually the full story, the full narrative is told in tableaus. Okay, Duncan, you are too disconnected from the meat industry to comment on it. I once wrote an entire musical about a meat inspector sent to investigate a poultry farm in New Jersey, where it turned out there was a giant chicken who had organized the chickens to take over the farm and soon the world. It was it was a thing. Are we required to have cutscenes for a game? Since I feel like aside from one instance near the end, it would be awkward to incorporate. You are not required. There are other ways of telling me who I am and what I want, right? There you could have notes that I find, right? You could have voiceovers that are triggered. You could you could, I don't know, play music that somehow tells me who I am. Tells me I'm Indiana Jones, right? But that belongs to LucasArts, Lucasfilm. So don't be Indiana Jones. And don't neglect what happens after the game ends, right? After the level ends. Have I walked through a gate into I'm on a new planet, and now I must explore the new planet? Have I woken up in my bed at home? It was all a dream, Dorothy. Um, what happens after? Do I die? Is that the end? Um, does is anybody? I don't think anybody did this. Somebody falls in love at the end of your game, and because you made the first Unreal romantic comedy. I would love to see that. And so as we fade to black at the end of the game, we hear dun, 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 and we know they're getting married. So just be aware that that's what I'm looking for in the final level. So just deadlines and what we're looking for. Anything else? Thoughts, problems, interest? Okay. I used 45 minutes on going over the assignments again, but hey, that's what we're here for. I checked out that stuff. Are we required? No. I already said that. But it is a tool in your tool belt. I'm going to stop this share. It's a tool in your tool belt. Don't count it out without using it. So there are more things that I wanted to talk about. And they have all flown my head. Dismiss. Okay. Okay. So hopefully everybody did okay. I saw a lot of problems with rain going through meshes over the weekend. And I'm not always so part of me is like, oh, a lot of people are having problems with that, but it might not be the case. It's just there are a lot of messages about that, and they're all from Nick, right? So Nick had problems with that. Hi, Nick.
It was mainly me, and I think Jeff had a couple hiccups too.
Okay. And what happened?
I got it figured out for the most part.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So what happens is I look through on Monday to see what the hell happened on over the weekend, and I see huge amounts of messages in the Discord, and I try and basically I try to address everything that John said. I don't know. What was the solution, Javier, to it? You say it was dumb. It usually is. Like it's a checkbox in the properties window somewhere that you had to check. In the end, I had to place a bunch of static meshes along the ceiling so that they wouldn't go through. Can you bop in and explain it? Resizing the mesh would not resize the collision. Oh, okay. So one of the things that oh, I see what you're saying. You resized the mesh, but the collision was still the size. You made the mesh big, but the collision was still tiny. So there was
So essentially, instead of having one large static mesh that could cover the entire roof, we had to put several static meshes to fill the whole roof, because if we tried to resize them, it wouldn't have changed the collision box.
Okay, so one thing that I cheat with all the time is blocking volumes. They're just invisible boxes that I then place in the same space as whatever it is that's not blocking whatever I want it to block. And because I'm like, I can't get this thing to do what I want. Okay, screw it. Blocking volume. Throw the blocking volume on there. And usually it's not, especially like I can't get a particular tree mesh to actually have collision for whatever reason. And so I just throw a blocking volume that's roughly tree shaped there, and most people will never notice that there are places where you are being blocked by the tree that there is no tree because it's close enough, right? So don't forget blocking volumes. That's what I would have said. I don't know. Did you try that, Nick?
I did not try that.
Okay.
The workaround I went for was to just place the particle areas so they wouldn't rain inside my building. Like, yeah. I just moved them to the size and above it far enough that it wouldn't cause a problem.
Right. That's quite possible. The other thing is, did you open up the mesh and go rebuild collision using the mesh editor?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so that was probably the problem. So yeah. That rebuild, sometimes it works. A lot of time, like, it either works or it doesn't. Right? It's kind of funky. The mesh collision generator, especially when like you ask it to do the most detailed mesh thing. I always just go straight for blocks or ovals, and say close enough with that. Let's see, what else am I getting from Javier? Resizing the mesh would, yeah, so I had no choice but to copy and paste it a bunch of times. I don't think invisible walls will block the rain. They will if you check that block. You got to go into it should block all, check block all. I don't know. Like I said at the beginning of this course, every year people find new ways to break Unreal. Not really break, but wrestle with Unreal that it won't do what they want it to do, or break it, straight up break it. So okay, I saw that. Also, this is one thing I'm hearing rumblings, and given that there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 5. So okay, there are 25 people here in class out of 26. So that's pretty good. You're all here. No one's going to watch the replay on the video. That's okay. I don't get paid by YouTube for 1 million views of this class. Oh my God. Right. But I'm hearing rumblings in the background, low, of partners worried about partners, right? Whether that's my partner's not holding up their end, or my partner, we have split up the work in such a way that my stuff looks really good and my partner's not so much, right? So and how does that affect me, right? So number one of the reasons why I have you work with a partner instead of everybody makes their own level is because A, it's fewer levels for me to grade, and I'm always struggling with getting them graded. Let's be honest. That's one thing. But talking and collaborating is as much a part of game development as using whatever software, right? So collaborating on these levels is important, and being able to talk to someone about what should happen, both of you do better. Hopefully, you make something cooler than either of you would have made alone. Also, I can ask for or expect a higher standard of final project from two people than I feel like I can from one. Like the scope, it gets to be a little bit bigger. But the number one thing is for just these, like, I couldn't get this to work. Did you try this? Did you try this? Did you try this? Right. And that wrestling with the engine, wrestling with Unreal, two of you can try things and come up with ideas to get things done that one of you just gets frustrated and goes and takes a nap, right? So your partner cannot help you if you are having trouble if you don't communicate with them, right? So I'm telling you here and now, even if you're working on separate sections of the level of the game that you're making, maybe open up some kind of call like this and sit there working while you have each other's ears. I mean, you can still play your music or what have you, but if you suddenly are like, I can't make the snow keeps coming through my stupid ceiling, I can't make it happen, your partner is right there in your ear to go, oh, did you try this? Because I had that same problem and I did that. And that saves your partner who's now wrestling with it. That saves them whatever hour you wrestled with it. And hopefully they will do the same for you. Right. So it's a recommendation. I can't say, oh, you must all work on your levels from 8 to 10 p.m. on Thursday night. I wouldn't do that anyway. Set your own schedules. But it's similar to being in the same room with someone and working. Hey, look at this cool thing, right? Can I share my screen with you? And I don't think for a two-person meeting, I don't know what your computer power is, but hopefully it won't be, it won't make Unreal unusable to have like a Zoom call going on in the background. Okay. So that's a recommendation. Work with each other, even if you're working on separate things, so that you can help each other and save each other time. Show each other. So one of the hardest things in any kind of collaborative artistic endeavor is to make it all seem like it comes from a single source. So, for instance, art. You have 6 artists all working on one game. I have these characters to make. You have those characters to make. but we have agreed on an art style, right? And we have agreed on a minimum level of detail and a maximum level of detail. And we hold to those things. And by constant working with each other and showing each other your work, it all becomes, I don't want to say homogenous, but it looks like it sprang from a single thing, right? So if you look at a Disney movie, an animated, not a Disney movie, but an animated movie, right? Hundreds of artists worked on those animations, but it all looks and feels of a piece, right? So if I am going through your level and, you know, I'm outside and I'm wandering through this beautiful meadow, and there are birds chirping, and there are sunlight is the sun is setting, and it all looks golden and beautiful, and there's high detail to everything, and I get to a building, and the outside of it is it was carved from glass, from obsidian, and it looks like it took thousands of years to create this building. And then I walk in, and it's all blocky, and there's wood paneling, and it looks like it's a ranch house from the 70s where the Brady Bunch lived, and I can still look out the windows and see that wonderful meadow and that beautiful outside, but the inside is a totally different style than the outside. I'm going to say, what happened? Even if the level of detail is different, if the lighting inside looks different from the lighting outside, in terms of it looks like you just slapped on some work lights and hoped for the best. I often say the inside looks like Wolfenstein 3D from 1993, and the outside looks like Skyrim, right? That doesn't match up. So just please work with each other, use each other's skills and smarts. And this is a long-winded way of saying collaborate. And I understand if your partner is uncommunicative, and you know, it's there's let's find it. Open image in a new tab. Boom, boom, boom. Zoom. This is an old meme, but I trot it out every time we're doing group work. Share screen. Boom. Share. Every group project ever. One guy does 99% of the work. One guy has no idea what's going on the whole time. One guy says he's going to help, but he's not. And one guy disappears at the very beginning and doesn't show up again until the very end, and then takes credit for it all. Right? If you've seen The Hangover, this may speak to you. Second guy is me. And there are lots of versions. every group project. One is a moron, one does all the work and goes insane, one doesn't do anything until the end, and one disappears without a trace until the last few minutes. I don't know who these people are. But here's one. When you work midnights and the group chat goes off, that just, oh dear, I shouldn't be showing that. Don't be that guy. Communicate. Because I hear like, oh, I'm trying to get together with my partner, but they don't respond to my messages. Well, there are now 26 people here now. So whoever is not responding to your partner's messages, please respond. Get together. Nobody wants to make a bad thing. I understand you're under pressure. I understand you're feeling overworked. I understand it's weird and the world is crazy. Do the best you can. Okay. So, I talked about, let me go back. It was world building. Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit more about world building. All right. I don't know if last class I threw that GDC talk between Ken Ralston and I always forget the other guy's name. Ken, I have it right here. Ken Ralston and Mark Nelson. And basically, they're talking about the difference between present action and world building. World building being the idea behind world building is if I make a detailed enough setting, if I provide things to look at, things to go investigate, people to talk to, mysteries that are generations in the past. All of these things make the world come alive, right? And then Ralston believes that if you just provide all that stuff, players will find their fun. Players will find something to do. Personally, I think that's only half the equation, and I think Ralston knows this. In Skyrim, in Morrowind, in what's the one in between? Oblivion. There are books in all of those games. There are books on various shelves in various shops. You find people carrying books, and you can pickpocket books, or just kill the people and take their books. Skyrim book report, yes. And I was actually at that talk with Ken Ralston. And I had been playing Oblivion tirelessly, maybe a tad obsessively. In fact, I believe every class I taught that year, every example I talked about came from Oblivion. So everybody was like, Dean's the Oblivion guy. So I asked the books, who writes the books? Which one of you? Is that present action or world building? Ken, did you write all those books? Because there are a lot of books in Oblivion. And he laughed and said, we get whatever intern is around to write the books. Which, so wait, the books are an afterthought? I can skip the books? I had been reading every book in Oblivion that I could find, sometimes multiple times, because they're not that long, let's face it. Some of them are crazy long, but most of them aren't that long. And then I'd forget that I read one, and then I'd read it again, because it's like volume 4 of a 10-volume set or whatever. So I'd read them over and over and over again, thinking that it would somehow illuminate something. It's world building, because in fact, you can now buy on Amazon, let's see, Skyrim books. Are they all online? You had that queued up there, Henry.
I stumbled across this the other day, and it's not related. This is it was just
Todd Howard reveals that one of the tricks to combat low memory on the original Xbox was to reboot the console without the player noticing. What?
It's unrelated to the thing aside from Oblivion, which is why I dropped it in class of Jason. I just found that recently. It was
what? They would reboot the console without the player noticing? How do you do that? Wait. Okay, wait. I am playing this.
Oh, it's more.
Share this with the class. How long is it?
It's like 40 seconds.
Okay.
It was Morrowind, not Oblivion. I'm not. So
okay. I'm still sharing it because I must know.
Oh, it's interesting. Oh, you must not be sharing audio.
Oh. Sorry. Now I've lost it. Stop share. Share screen. Share computer sound optimized for. Why isn't it always optimized for sharing video clip? Just okay. Anyway, here we go.
And those relationships from the original Xbox, how are we going to get this to even work? And working with them, there's some great tricks that they taught us. I think my favorite one in Morrowind is you can actually, if you're running low on memory, you can reboot the original Xbox and the user can't tell. You can throw like a screen up. So when Morrowind loads, sometimes you get a very long load. That's us rebooting the Xbox.
Like, it's called memory management.
Yeah. I was like the Hail Mary. Someone there said, "Oh, you could do this." I'm like, really? Let's see it. And
okay. Well, there you go. Stop share. Todd did pull a sneaky on us. Oh, by the way. Oh, wait. I'm proud of this. The Oblivion strategy guide, signed by Todd Howard, to Dean, play like a champion. Also signed by, I don't even know. I think the author of the strategy guide. To Dean, Enjoy life and music. Danny, I don't know who that is. Maybe no. It's Danny. Who wrote this? No. I bet you it's the writer of the strategy guide. Anyway, what happens when you get to go to E3 some years? They you could stand in line and get a signed copy of this for free. This was free. And I was there with a friend, and I was like, okay, dude, I got to go to this other thing during the signing of the Oblivion strategy guides. You know what would be really nice? Would be if you stood in line for me and got Todd Howard to sign an Oblivion. So I didn't even stand in line for this. My friend stood in line for this and brought it to me. But he was like, okay, man, but you got to carry it around for the rest of the day because those strategy guides are heavy. So anyway, getting back. Sorry. Yeah, well, so you went to E3 and didn't get crap like that? I did not meet Todd Howard. Yes, he is a good friend. But okay, that same year, I think it was 2005 or 2006, because I went both years. 2005, every hour, the NVIDIA booth would just throw t-shirts into the crowd every hour on the hour, sometimes twice an hour. They had so many t-shirts, and the t-shirts were different. So they always had NVIDIA over the breast, but the back was either the new Tomb Raider, an Unreal 2007. So I think that was the 2004 or 2005, because Unreal 2007 never came out, and I have a t-shirt for it. The one, Hellscape London, I don't know. I got 6 t-shirts just by walking by a booth and putting my hand up as they were throwing them. Old E3, in the early aughts, well, current E3 or the last E3 that there was, is a pale shadow of what E3 used to be. The swag that was available at E3. Yeah, Jeff, you went the last one, which may be the last one, literally the last one. So anyway, so getting back to the books in Skyrim, Elder Scrolls. Here, here's Amazon. Let me share this. Share. You can buy, like, I now think about this. This is Skyrim. This is a 3-volume box set. Are the collected texts from the, so this is basically all the books in the game. I just want to do so there's lots of pictures. So an explorer's guide to Skyrim. They don't, yeah, it's an art book. But it's the text of all those books. It's got to be. Yeah. So they're selling them. You can buy them. Do they have, let me see, Skyrim books, Oblivion books? No. Let's try Elder Scrolls. Oh, I read those. There were 2 novels. Volumes 1 and 2. Oh no, that's online. Elder Scrolls Online. Oblivion. Oh, look at that. Revised and expanded. I'm telling you. $25 will get you one. Anyway, okay. So when Ken Ralston, does it have the text translation of the Agma Infinium? I don't know. McKenna's been living in Oklahoma for the past 4 years. And so this is the first time you're going to be able to go to PAX East. It ain't happening this year. Sorry. I mean, there's been no official word, but probably not happening. And hopefully they have put aside enough money so that when the world resumes, it will happen. Let me tell you, I have been to every single PAX East. And at this point, like another friend and I go for the booth, but another friend, he used to go all 3 days and then they would switch to 4 days. And at this point, we are both bitter and jaded gamers who are like, oh yeah, it's the same thing every year. And is it worth it? Are the crowds really worth it for what it is? And he has cut down from going all days to going 1 day. And he's like, yeah, this is enough. And we usually leave at 6. We don't stay. I remember the first PAX. This is far afield from actual class, but probably stuff you're more interested in. The first PAX, I was there till midnight or 1 every day, doing everything, going to concerts, going to movies. And the difference is that was 12 years ago. And so I was 40 something, and now I'm 56 and probably 50 pounds heavier. I don't know. Yes, you could go as cosplays. I don't always like the idea for me, like I go in a t-shirt and a hoodie, and I'm exhausted just by carrying around a bag all day. The idea of going in a costume where you may be uncomfortable, and especially some of the shoes these people wear. I look at the shoes and I'm like, how are you walking around all day? And then carrying the super giant sword or whatever. I'm just like, oh my God, how like, I assume that they're in the hotel right across the street or whatever, and they can. Matt cosplayed once at PAX, and yes, it is tiring. You wander around, see the sights, get autographs, go to booths, and just sort of enjoy embodying the characters. Lots of water and lots of breaks. 1 year, Professor Sutter came as Freddy Krueger. Full outfit, full rubber mask.
Of course Sutter would.
And he was hanging around the thing, and he also smokes, so he went out for a smoke break. And one of the things about Ralph is that he squats like to rest. He likes, it's a European thing apparently. Yes, and he became a meme. There it is, Dylan. This is Professor Sutter. Here, I will share screen. Where is it? There it is. Share. That is Professor Sutter having a smoke break. at PAX East. Yeah, so it became a meme. Been chasing people in their dreams so long, I forgot to chase my own. It's very much because he's kind of wistful. He's kind of tired. There's Freddy Krueger just hanging out, having a smoke break. What's this one say? When you spend all night chasing people in their nightmares, but nobody asks you about chasing your dreams. So that's the 1 year that he came in cosplay, and like that is a full rubber mask, full rubber hands. He took one of his hands off so he could smoke. I think it's in the hat. You can't quite see it. So more power to y'all for doing all that stuff. I enjoy seeing it. I can't imagine one chance was all he needed. He now is building a complete Mandalorian outfit. He's got his baby Yoda. He's got various people. You should, if you haven't followed Professor Sutter on on Twitter. His feed is always interesting because he's always showing off models he's making, or costumes. He's got a full Jason and a full Michael Myers. He's very much into movie monsters. Anyway, so good time. And when he finally gets his full Mandalorian, I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, I go to a Halloween party as the Mandalorian. I'm like, okay. So he would come to PAX East as the Mandalorian in a second, I guarantee it. There's Henry with his Twitter. You can see his there's his Mandalorian. There it is. Oh my God, he's looking great. It looks amazing. That's exactly what you do. You go to Halloween parties, you take photos and post them online. Hey, you know what? I got, how every week there's a different professor who is hanging out in Discord and doing a thing on Friday evenings. Are you aware of this? I don't. It's a bad year to be a cosplayer. Well, anyway, so to promote community, like at the beginning of the year, we're like, we don't have any like get together, so how are we going to be an IMGD community? And so every week, one of us gets assigned to do something on Discord just to come hang out. I got Halloween week.
Oh, fun.
So I am going to do something totally spooky. I'm going to be totally spooky. I have a mysterious package about the disappearance of a child. And we're going to explore it and solve puzzles. And possibly there is a demonic puppet involved. Possibly. I just talked to my wife about it, and we're going to decorate. So it's going to be exciting. I'm excited. So I will not be the Mandalorian, but I will be in costume for my Friday evening. So Friday, when is it? Oh, Friday the 30th. It will be spooky time with Dean. So put it on your calendar. And I honestly, I do not know what is involved in this package. It came in the mail. It is spooky. So I'm hoping it's not terrible. Here. Oh, I could go show it. Nah, whatever. I'll take a picture of it and put it in the Discord. How's that? So anyway, so getting wow, huge tangents today, but I don't care. Whatever, man. I'm kind of punch drunk. It's 3:26. So getting back to the books in Oblivion, when Ralston told us that the interns wrote the books, that was the end of the books for me. Because if like, here's the lead designer of the world saying he didn't pay attention to the books, then why should I? Right? So you know how in that some of the books give you stat boosts when you read them? That's all I did. I open every book to see if I get a stat boost. No stat boost. Oh, well, it's crap. Throw it away. Don't need to read them. And maybe I missed out on some of the lore in Skyrim. Maybe. I honestly, I tried. I was like, okay, let's read this one. And every time it would be like, this is just BS for no reason. Right? So, that is well, theoretically, the idea is that if we put enough world in there, the player will confabulate their own story, right? But how many times have you been in a game where there's all sorts of things you can touch and manipulate, but they don't really do anything? I mean, that's Skyrim. That's so you get weird players who basically get every cabbage in the game and fill their house with cabbages because you can, right? But otherwise, there's nothing to do with like, you can pick up cabbages, you can fill your inventory with cabbages. But what are you going to do with those cabbages? There's really nothing to do with them except fill your house with them for a silliness. So they're kind of useless. They're my cabbages. I don't get the reference. What's the reference? Why do I feel old? Avatar. Oh, I'm on season 1, episode 7 of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think I haven't gotten to my cabbages yet. Did you know that there's a Suki in Avatar? So Suki, my dog, is a rescue. So we were wondering why she was named Suki. And I think she was named after the elf princess in Avatar: The Last Airbender. So just a little fun fact. Okay, so there's the idea of loading in bunches of stuff that makes the world come alive, but then there's the overwhelming stuff. I'm gonna go back to Disney. Disney has theming, right? Disney has theming all over the place. Let's see, Disney 2008. Okay, so in 2008, I did an MQP at in that was sponsored by Walt Disney Imagineering. And we made a game for Disney's California Adventure. So our job was to go. We were making puzzles, but we couldn't change anything in the park. The idea was we would make puzzles that you could solve while you were standing in line, waiting to go on a ride, right? So they flew us out to Disneyland. We went to Disney's California Adventure, and we took pictures of the park, all the little details, especially anything with a number associated with it, because we could then use those numbers. Like if you are standing at the corner of Sunset and Hollywood, then we could tell people, go to the corner of Sunset and Hollywood, and put in the number you see there in this larger puzzle that would get the answer that we wanted. And so we gathered all the numbers that we could, all the details that we could that were there. Whitley, even so these were mostly names of Imagineers all over the park. Whenever there's a name of some building or a name of a shop, they're generally what's considered the credits of that area. So they're named after the people who designed them. But for instance, if we wanted to, we could say W is WXYZ. So W is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. So take the W, and now we have the number 22 to use in a puzzle. So these are all the pictures that I took of like silly little things that were in the park at the time that we could make puzzles out of. So this is, so the script fade to black by I can't get it any plus. Nope. By Carrie something or other. But perfect. We could use that. I want to get to, actually, let me back out, because there was a section, right, inside the animation building where it was covered in these runes, right? And this was a Little Mermaid section, and supposedly this was Atlantean, right? So we took all sorts of pictures of all these runes, figuring we could make a puzzle out of all these runes that were in that area. Boom, boom, boom. And we made a puzzle. But anyway, so we made a puzzle out of that. And then the Imagineers asked for approval to use that. And we were denied so we had to scrap that puzzle, because all those runes already actually mean something. You can ask cast members to translate the Atlantean, and it does translate to actually you can get, it's a substitution cipher. Each of those runes means a different letter of the alphabet, and this particular section spells out Walt and Roy, which is Walt and Roy Disney, which we thought was less interesting than our puzzle, but we couldn't assign a new meaning to something that already had a meaning. This is in the actual sidewalk near the animation building, and it's supposed to be a rough sketch in cement of Dumbo. But note, it's Shadows number 95. Let's see. No. And these are all actual identification numbers on an actual drawing of Dumbo. But they're in the cement of Disney's California Adventure, so we could potentially use them. I'm just so these were the students who did their MQP. They are all much older now. Let me see if there's anything else. I already showed you tons of pictures of the Indiana Jones line. There's that same thing. The funny thing was, these are my pictures. They took hundreds of more pictures than I did, and came up with a really cool set of puzzles. This was supposed to be a blue sky Imagineering experiment. Wasn't supposed to go anywhere. The idea was that we were making, so Disney's California Adventure was going to be pretty much under renovation for 4 years, from 2008 to 2012. And they figured, first off, Disney's California Adventure at the time was considered a half-day park, in that you could do everything in the park in half a day and then go back to Disneyland and feel like you've experienced the park. So that was a problem. So they wanted to substantially refurbish the whole thing to add more to it, and that's when they added Cars Land, and they added the Voyage of the Little Mermaid, and they redid the entire front of the park to, it was just generic California. Parts of it were kind of San Francisco-y, parts of it were kind of, it led to Hollywood, but they were going to specifically cite it as the Cathay Circle Theater, where Snow White premiered in 1937. And that is now a restaurant there, and there's a theater there, and they were redoing basically half the park. So they wanted something that would have people go there while basically everything was covered in tarps. So we made a game that when you bought tickets to Disney's California Adventure, you got access to an online portion of the game, which was 4 puzzles on a website. And then when you completed those 4 puzzles, you were sent a PDF that you could print out and bring to the park, which were 4 more puzzles that you had to be in the park to solve, because you had to see what was around. And the idea, and this was still in the era of flip phones. So the idea was, and this was kind of risky, you would find an answer to one of the puzzles and text it, and you'd get a text back that you were either correct or incorrect. And when you had texted all 4 answers, then you were told you had won and you could go to this booth and get your prize. It was originally supposed to be, they told us, it's blue sky. Pick any Disney characters you want. We can use any Disney characters you want to use. Go ahead. But it should somehow revolve around this renovation, right? That we're going to open the Carthay Circle theater in 1937, and it's going to be, old-timey Hollywood and stuff. So the students said, we want to do the Muppets. Can we do the Muppets? Because we like the Muppets. And so they did this whole thing where Dr. Bunsen Honeydew was testing a time machine, and you can apply to be the first test subjects of the time machine, and you get turned down, and then you get an email the next day before you leave for Disneyland that says, you were the highest scoring you weren't accepted. The people who were accepted were Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Sam the Eagle, and Ralph the dog. And it being a Dr. Bunsen Honeydew experiment, it went wrong. And now those 4 Muppets are lost in time and space. And we think they're in 1937 California. But the only way to be sure is for you to solve these puzzles. And so you had to locate which one of the 4 Muppets was in which of the 4 lands of Disney's California Adventure. Text that to Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. And then your prize was being able to see the future of the park, which was the map of the new renovations, which was the big reveal that they had already announced that it would be Cars Land, but they had never shown what the map of the park was going to be. So that was the prize. And amazingly, so we proposed this, and the Muppets were kind of languishing at the time, but they were gearing up. They wanted new media. So they were going to go on YouTube with the Muppets in preparation for launching a movie in a couple of years. And this little puzzle thing that was in the parks, okay, well, yeah, approved. Doing it for Disney's California Adventure at a time when no one was going to Disney's California Adventure with the Muppets, which is it, the one Muppet ride in Disney was in Disney's California Adventure, approved. So we went from this blue sky project that no one cared about to getting a budget and being basically all the students' work was redone by Disney artists. So we made all the websites and then they remade them to Disneyfy them, and it looked amazing. And the whole thing went into the park. And the Imagineer, one of the Imagineers we were working with was like, I've been here 3 years and I haven't gotten anything into the park yet. And you guys just show up out of the blue and it goes in the park? I've never seen this, right? And it was sheer dumb luck. They wanted the Muppets, Disney California Adventure. Everybody was begging for something. It was peanuts to Disney. It was like $15,000 to implement the whole thing. And it ran for a month and a half to see if it would go. And since then, stuff like that is all over the parks. There's a sorcerer's game in Disney World. There's a pirates run around the park looking for pirate treasure in Disney World. There's Muppets detective agency on all the Disney cruises. It's probably all shut down now because of COVID, but if you're into interactive little running around the park game, we did it through using details that are in the park already. So bringing it back to making your level. Details matter. The Phineas and Ferb thing. Yes, in Epcot. Exactly, Dan. Actually, Phineas and Ferb predated us. You'd hit a button on your phone and Der Doofenshmirtz would pop up with a laser or something. Yes. And so they were so like, what are the chances that everybody will have a cell phone? What if they show up, our typical Disney family shows up and they don't have cell phones? And we were like, who doesn't have a cell phone? Everybody has a cell phone. Somebody in a family of 4 is going to have a cell phone. But up until, I don't know, maybe the last year, the year before, they had flip phones for that Phineas and Ferb game that they would lend you if you didn't have a cell phone to play that Phineas and Ferb game. So it was a big deal that they had to make sure we had wireless coverage, text SMS coverage for Disney's California Adventure. Anyway, so Phineas and Ferb predated us, and when we were pitching it, everybody would go, "Oh, it's like that Phineas and Ferb thing we already have in Epcot." We were like, "Yes, except smaller and cheaper." So don't neglect the details. Remember in A Semblance that first room, it's just a white room, but it becomes a place when you put the trim around the baseboards and the ceiling, right? Don't forget, one of the things that I probably should add to the tutorials, but I haven't, there's a thing in Unreal called decals. UE4 decal. These are actually there's a bunch of tutorials, but if you Google UE4 decals, things like stains on walls, things like scuff marks along the bottom, you can make decals and then place them on already existing wall materials or floor materials. Okay, so don't neglect decals. And this is something that happens all the time in theater. People build the set, right? And it's this living room that's been around. It's in an old house that's been standing there for 100 years, right? And they build it because it's a set, and they paint it, and it's brand new paint, and it looks like a brand new living room that's never been lived in. And I would always go in as a director and say, this house has been here for 100 years. No one's painted it for 20. It's beautiful. Where are the scuff marks? Where is the dirt in the corners? Right? look around at your surroundings. Light switches have the paint and the wall around light switches is generally a little dirtier than in the middle of the wall, because people touch that piece of wall all the time to throw the switch. So the thing people always get excited about in Disney World is what's called theming. In that, all this little stuff, but it's about saying to yourself, what should be in this place as I create it? What is the history of this place? Is there dirt in the corners? Well, then I need dirt in the corners, right? What are the paths that people walk through the leaves, right? Shouldn't those leaves? Remember when I was playing Ethan Carter, it was on the ground were leaves, like autumn, but we looked around the trees and the trees were all green. Well, is it spring or is it autumn? Because on the floor of the ground here, it looks like autumn, but on the actual trees, it looks like spring. So which is it? So don't neglect the details. Okay. I am over time. Woo! But I went on a big tangent there. So sorry about that, but it's a good story, isn't it? Isn't it? Anyway, I always get excited about telling the story of my Disney MQP. It's probably the best MQP I ever advised, because they flew us out to Disneyland and put us up for like a week, and then coming back, I pulled a Private Ryan on them all, and I was like, now you have to earn this. And they just amazingly go to Disneyland for your MQP for the first week of your MQP, makes you work really hard for the rest of your MQP. Go figure. Okay. So I will get the quiz up. I'm not feeling great about the quiz. It may be easier than normal, but don't count on that. I'll get the quiz up. This will be our last quiz. I think there will be just one spooky question in it, along with the regular stuff. And get working on your final. I will, or actually, you have till midnight to get your gray box in. I will get back to grading. Honestly, I was like, oh, I can grade all morning, and then things happened. This is my life. So I will see y'all on the Discord or on Friday, okay? Yay!